Hello everyone and welcome back to our literary journey. Today we're diving back into the world of the Bennet family, and trust me, the drama just keeps unfolding. So, the Gardners, who are Mrs. Bennet's sensible and elegant brother and sister-in-law, come to Longbourn for Christmas. Unlike some other folks we know, they're genuinely kind and well-mannered. Mrs. Gardner is a particular favourite of Jane and Elizabeth. As soon as she arrives, she gets an earful from Mrs. Bennet, who's still complaining about her two eldest daughters being single. She's especially salty about Elizabeth turning down Mr. Collins, moaning that now Charlotte Lucas is getting married before any of her own daughters. Later, the wise Mrs. Gardner has a private chat with Lizzie. She's sympathetic about Jane's heartbreak over Bingley, but also realistic, suggesting that young men often fall in and out of love quickly. Elizabeth insists it wasn't chance, but Bingley's meddling friends who separated them. To help Jane recover, Mrs. Gardner kindly invites her to come stay with them in London. Elizabeth is thrilled, secretly hoping this might give Jane and Bingley a chance to reconnect, even though their aunt lives in a less fashionable part of town. During their stay, the Gardners also notice the growing connection between Elizabeth and the charming Mr. Wickham. Mrs. Gardner, ever the voice of reason, warns Elizabeth not to get too serious with him. Wickham is handsome and agreeable, but he has no money. An alliance with him would surely disappoint Mr. Bennet. Elizabeth tries to laugh it off, but her aunt presses her. Lizzie admits she isn't in love with him yet, but she promises to be sensible and try to do what's wisest. Soon after, Jane leaves for London with the Gardners. Mr. Collins' wedding day arrives, and a very unhappy Mrs. Bennet has to watch Charlotte Lucas become Mrs. Collins before leaving for her new home in Hunsford. Charlotte makes Elizabeth promise to visit. Lizzie agrees, though she's not exactly excited about it. Time passes. Jane's letters from London are disheartening. After one brief, cool encounter with Caroline Bingley, it becomes clear the so-called friendship is over. Elizabeth is sad for Jane, but also glad she won't be deceived by Caroline anymore. All hope for Bingley is officially gone. As for Wickham, Elizabeth writes to her aunt that there's no danger there. His affections have conveniently shifted to a Miss King, who just inherited a fortune of £10,000. Elizabeth isn't heartbroken, telling herself it's only natural for a man without a fortune to seek one. Finally, March arrives, and it's time for Elizabeth's visit to Hunsford. She travels with Sir William Lucas and his daughter Maria, stopping for a night in London to see Jane. She's relieved to see Jane looking healthy, but her aunt privately confides that Jane has been battling bouts of sadness. The next day, they arrive at the rectory in Hunsford. Mr. Collins is exactly the same, greeting them with long, formal speeches and giving an exhaustive tour of the house, perhaps trying to make Elizabeth regret her refusal. But Lizzie feels no regret. She's actually amazed at how content Charlotte seems. Charlotte has cleverly found ways to manage her husband, like encouraging his passion for gardening to get him out of the house as much as possible. Elizabeth has to admit Charlotte seems genuinely happy in her new life. The very next day, they get an invitation to dine at Rosings Park, the grand estate of Mr Collins' patroness, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Mr Collins is ecstatic. Elizabeth, however, is not impressed by all the hype and remains calm. Lady Catherine turns out to be a tall, proud, and overbearing woman who asks Elizabeth a series of rather rude and personal questions. Her daughter Anne is the complete opposite, frail, quiet, and sickly. They visit Rosings a couple of times a week. Life is quiet until 2 weeks later, when visitors arrive at Rosings. Lady Catherine's nephews, Colonel Fitzwilliam, and, you guessed it, Mr Darcy. When the two gentlemen call at the rectory, Colonel Fitzwilliam is charming and gentlemanly. Darcy, on the other hand, is as cold and proud as ever. Elizabeth can't resist asking if he's seen Jane in London. He seems a bit flustered and says no. At their next dinner at Rosings, Colonel Fitzwilliam sits with Elizabeth, and they have a lively conversation. Darcy keeps looking over at them. Lady Catherine, of course, has to interrupt and demand to know what they're talking about. The conversation turns to music, and Lady Catherine rudely suggests Elizabeth isn't very good and should practice on the servant's piano. Darcy looks a little embarrassed by his aunt's lack of tact. Colonel Fitzwilliam then persuades Elizabeth to play. As she begins, Darcy walks over and stands right by the piano, watching her intently. Elizabeth, never one to be intimidated, playfully asks if he's trying to frighten her. This leads to some witty banter where Darcy notes her enjoyment of stating opinions that are on her own. She then teasingly threatens to expose his past behaviour, specifically how he only danced 4 times at the Meryton ball. He defends himself by saying he doesn't find it easy to talk to strangers. Just then, Lady Catherine interrupts again with more unsolicited advice, and Elizabeth ends up playing for the rest of the evening. So, with Darcy and Elizabeth under the same roof again, what do you think will happen next? Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter in this incredible story.